Who you more confident in reaching the finals? Is it the Nets who you ride with? Let me finish the question.
Or the Lakers. Wasting the people's time right there. It's the Nets. Oh, you know me. I always look at the path of least resistance. So I have to look at the Eastern Conference versus the Western Conference. Now, when I look at the Nets' path, I'm like, being real, it's just easier. Like, there are question marks all throughout the East. Boston. You really believing in Boston like that? How many years we've been believing in Boston? Good Lord. Jason Tatum talking about Corona got him not feeling the same, not breathing the same. Milwaukee, here we go again. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to do this to your Nigerian brother, Greek freak, but man, ain't nobody believing in that. You're going to have to prove it, brother. I'm tired of hearing about it. Philadelphia, oh, God. Is Embiid even going to be there at the end? Ben Simmons, are they going to work together? Like, how's it going to mesh in terms of championship chemistry? Miami and Toronto, meh this year, not looking the same. So if you look at the Eastern Conference, 520 win percentage when you take out the Brooklyn Nets. Let's look at the Western Conference, 641 win percentage when you take out the Lakers. It's murderer's row out here in the West, as LeBron knew when he became a Laker. But also the Nets, even when they have to face the good teams, they have the best record in the NBA versus teams above 500. And the only loss to a team above 500 this season was against the 76ers. I remind y'all, KD and Kyrie didn't play in that game. So it's just path of least resistance. Okay, it's the Eastern Conference. And then if you want to talk about the Voltron in terms of the firepower that they have, KD, Kyrie, James Harden, I'm going to leave this to you because maybe you could take me somewhere else. But, boy, I've been betting on this team since I saw them join together, and nothing has discouraged me from that.
Sel, I didn't realize it, but I guess for Freudian coincidence, maybe I'm in my Lakers gold, if you shall, because I think the Lakers have a better chance of reaching the finals. And you asked me to take you somewhere. You mentioned KD. You mentioned Kyrie. You mentioned Harden. Well, let me tell you about history in the NBA and why I think the Lakers got a better chance of making it to the finals. Can we go to the big board?
Let's go to the big board.
It's time to go to the big board because I'm going to take y'all on a history lesson, but this blew my mind, and I try to educate, I try to entertain, so it's time. Now, who is the coach for the Nets? The coach for the Nets is a man by the name of Steve Nash. Remember Steve Nash, two-time NBA MVP. Well, during his most permeable years, he also had a great offense. 2004-2005, his first MVP year. Offense ranked first, but defense, they ranked 18th. So they lost in the conference finals to the Spurs because the Spurs had the 8th best offense. However, the Spurs had the first best defense. Y'all pay attention to how defense beats offense when it matters. 2005-06, Steve Nash, MVP again, baby. First offense, they was doing their thing, but defensively 16th. They lost conference finals to the Mavericks. Mavs, second best offense, 9th best defense, because Mavs did both better. Okay, let's talk about the Nets star player they just acquired, James Harden. You remember Harden is a beast on offense now. Rockets, 2016-17, second best offense, but defense was no good at 18th. They lost conference semis to the Spurs because the Spurs had the 9th best offense. However, they had the first best defense. Now, why does this matter? Because you're talking about two of the most integral pieces in this picture. Head coach Steve Nash, star player James Harden. When you look at the bigger picture, you see them pretty faces. Y'all know they can put up points. Right now, they first in the NBA in offense, but they're 25th in defense. So that makes me wonder if they're on track to currently have to play the Knicks, who have the 3rd best defense, on track in the playoffs to currently have to play the Bucks, 2nd best offense and 13th best defense, on track to have to play the 76ers, currently have the 6th best defense. If history repeats itself, I would be concerned. Not saying it won't happen, but I'm at least concerned about the Nets making it all the way to the NBA Finals. But let's bring in an NBA analyst who might have a difference of opinion. Slick Rick, talk to me, big dog. You just saw me try to break down a little bit of history. You've been studying the game for a long time. Who has a better chance of making it to the NBA Finals? Is it the Lakers or the Nets?
I'm going to go with the Lakers, Acho, while the Acho bus makes its way to its next stop back at the desk. And it's simply because, while I appreciate all the work both of you did on the history, I must have been the only guy on the show to actually read the question, which is, what was proved last night? And last night, first of all, the Lakers have nothing to prove. They weren't at full strength. They were missing 2 of their starters.
Slick Rick,
and we know what the Lakers are capable of.
Abort. You're on the wrong question, trying to clown us. First of all, don't you ever do that. This Black History Month. Don't be trying to clown us.
What?
Second of all, read the question. Is more confident in Nets or Lakers reaching finals?
You ahead of yourself.
Yeah,
Slick.
you ahead of yourself.
Based on last night is what I was told. Based on last night. And what I saw last night, was that the Nets' best lineup is a small lineup. They decided that Jeff Green versus Marc Gasol was their best lineup. And based on last night, I'm going to go with the idea that they believe that they can play small ball. Now, why is that a problem when it comes to the Eastern Conference? Because there's one team that they just played not too long ago that plays big ball and does it effectively. Now, small ball may have worked against the Lakers last night with Marc Gasol and Montrezl Harrell. If they proved anything, it's that the additions for the Lakers, they missed Dwight Howard. They missed JaVale McGee. They can't play big ball the way they did last year. But the Philadelphia 76ers can. And I dare say Jeff Green's not going to have the same impact on Joel Embiid that he had on Marc Gasol. So if I'm just looking at the prism of last night and how the Nets expect their best team to play, it's a way in which is going to cause problems for them in terms of getting past the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, maybe there's a chance that they don't meet. Somebody knocks off the 76ers. But that's the one team and the one situation that I look at and say the Nets don't have an answer for that. As for the Lakers, they proved it last year. The West is no tougher now than it was last year. They proved that they can answer every question. I'm going to assume that they can until they prove otherwise.
You talk about answering every question. I am going to answer this question. My mama used to always say, boy, you are a literalist. I mean, what? First of all, I was like, would you call me liberal? And she goes, no, literalist. Everything that comes out of your mouth, I'm listening to. Like, I'm up here, I'm not trying to build a brand. I'm just answering questions. And people are like, Marcellus, one day you over here, one day you over here. I was like, yeah, because the questions were different, dummy. So here's the thing. This question asked me where my confidence lies. It's not with the Lakers, y'all. It's with the Brooklyn Nets. Look at the Lakers and their record against teams above 500, the good teams. 4-7? Wait a minute. You trying to tell me that the Wizards, the Grizzlies, the Kings, and the Knicks all have a better record against teams above 500 than your Los Angeles Lakers? You mean the Lakers that are ranked 17th in points per game this year? You mean the Lakers that are 19th in three-point percentage. And if y'all looked at LeBron James in the three-point line at the beginning of the season, amazing, 41%. The last 6 games, LeBron, what you doing? 21%. Okay. What about in terms of turnovers per game? 25th in the NBA. I know we're having an age-old argument, offense versus defense. The number one offense faced the number one defense last night, even though last night the Lakers were missing a star and a tremendous player, and the Brooklyn Nets were missing a superstar. But I didn't get a ton from last night. We'll talk about that later. Slick, Rick. But from all-encompassing, looking at these two teams, road ahead, how they're playing, and I ain't even mentioned Anthony Davis ain't in the lineup, y'all. And y'all know that LeBron James, since he's been with Anthony Davis, 78-25. Without Anthony Davis, 38-32. Treading water, y'all. It's a whole different animal. Look in the East if you want to see where Brooklyn's going, because they're going to the finals.
Lakers, baby, Lakers, baby, Lakers. Now, look, Marcellus, I'm turning the notes over. Slick, get rid of the notes, Sale. Done with the notes. Let's have a barbershop talk. Slick, we can go to Supercuts and meet you, or you can come to the hood. Either one, just let me know.
I ain't going nowhere. I ain't got no hair.
If I'm looking at the Lakers,
what?
LeBron has made 10 NBA Finals. LeBron has made, 8 out of the last 9 and 9 out of the last 10. 9 out of the last 10, that's what LeBron has made. Who is going to stop LeBron and these Lakers? Dame? CJ ain't even been in the line. Dame gonna do it? Who gonna do it? Luka? Luka can't even keep the Mavericks afloat. Klay Thompson is not playing. Are you gonna trust a 24-year-old Donovan Mitchell to get it done? Is that what you're gonna do? No.
What?
Marcellus, you don't trust the Clippers? The same Clippers that haven't made it to the Western Conference Finals? Bump the notes, bump the stats, bump the PER, bump the average per game, bump the steals per game, bump the blocks, bump all that. What? Just look at the facts. LeBron, 9 out of 10 straight finals. Bron, 10 total. Who is going to stop him? Don't you mention Gobert. Don't you mention Spidey Mitchell. Don't you mention Dame without no help. Don't you mention Luka. Don't you mention Steph without no help. Nobody is stopping LeBron James from reaching the finals. The Nets, maybe they'll get there. The Lakers will absolutely get there.
Acho, that was really well done. I'm glad you took care of that aspect of what is in front of or not in front of the Lakers so that I can focus on Marcellus's idea that what we're seeing of the Lakers now is somehow reflective of who they are. Let's face it, we're in unusual circumstances. They played longer than anybody else. We didn't have a regular offseason. They weren't even sure how long the offseason was going to be. And there is no question, you cannot fight me on this, Marcellus, that the Lakers have not even attempted to play their best basketball to this point. They have been coasting through the season. LeBron James coasted through last night's game. He got his, but he didn't go overboard trying to win that game. So this idea that we can look at where the Lakers are ranked statistically in various categories and say that's who they are, I think is a misnomer. And in spite of the fact that they haven't really been taking this season all that seriously to this point, they are still one of the best defenses in the league. And ultimately, as Acho demonstrated at the very beginning, that is an element that cannot be missed on and is an integral factor to success in the postseason. And for all that I like about the Brooklyn Nets and all that I believe that they did prove last night about certain things, the fact that their defense is going to have to improve before I buy that they're going to get to the finals, they haven't demonstrated that yet.
Oh, my God. Let me take us to break. But before I go to break, let me get a shot off. Bah! Let me get a couple shots off right here. You know how I roll.
You're on the ropes now, my friend. You
I ain't got time to fight. This is pretty up here. Protect this. I got an Air Force, though. Pack, pack. Here come 2 shots. Slick, you ain't even know what the question was when we started this block, and I'm supposed to trust you. Acho, you supposed to know best. Acho knows best, y'all. Acho knows best. But he just left a season and a sport where he was telling me all year, Tampa Bay ain't going to do it, Jack. Tampa Bay ain't going to do it.
Football conversation into our NBA conversation. That's a whole different animal.
Y'all making my point. If he doesn't even know what he's supposed to know best, I'm supposed to trust him in basketball now?
Sal tried to do, Sal, you used the poor lawyer example. You tried to come in here and say, Emmanuel Acho stole candy back when he was 5 years old, so he's guilty, Your Honor. That's not how this works in the court. To speak for yourself, because I done already spoke for myself.
Wow, I ain't know 2 weeks ago you were only 5.